Hi everyone! Today we'll be talking about multiplying, dividing, and simplifying rational expressions. But first, what is a rational expression? A rational expression, also known as a rational fraction, is any expression or function which contains fractions or polynomials. It's basically just a polynomial fraction. Anything that you can do with a normal fraction, you can do with a rational fraction, except it's slightly more complicated. Some examples of a rational fraction are 1 over x minus 3 or x squared minus 3x cubed over 1. Here's a picture to give you a general idea of what a rational function looks like when it's graphed. You can depict the asymptote, which is a straight line where the function does not touch, and here the asymptote is at positive 3. So let's start by simplifying these rational expressions. Let's go back to maybe when you were in the 3rd or 4th grade when you were dealing with whole number fractions, like 2/4, 1/3, stuff like that. To simplify them, you canceled off factors that were similar between them. By using the same methods, you can simplify rational expressions too. So let's simplify this rational expression. 2x over x squared. So first, you would cancel off any common numerical or variable factors. 2x over x squared is the same thing as 2 times x over x times x. Now cancel. You can cancel the x on the numerator and the x on the denominator, and therefore giving you 2x. Let's try another one. Simplify the following rational expression. X plus 3 times x plus 4 over x plus 3 times x plus 2. It's the same process as the last one. Just cancel the same terms. And you're left with x plus 4 over x plus 2. So here you canceled x plus 3 and x plus 3. And you got your answer, x plus 4 over x plus 2. So here, let's simplify negative 5x squared minus 9x over 25x squared minus 81. So this one's a little more complicated than the last one, the previous ones, but we're going to use the same skills. Okay, first we have to factor the problem out, since we see too many squared terms and the problem looks just too complicated. So by using the x method, we factor it out to negative x times 5x plus 9 over, in parentheses, 5x minus 9 times, in parentheses, 5x plus 9. And now we can cancel some things out. By canceling both 5x plus 9's, we get negative x over 5x minus 9. And that's how you simplify. Remember to first factor and then cancel. And also you can only cancel factors and not terms. Remember, factors, not terms. Now let's move on to multiplying fractions. With normal fractions, which you did a couple of years ago, multiplying and dividing was a lot easier than adding and subtracting. The situation is the same here, except there are some rules. And those are the denominator cannot equal 0. So, for example, s over t times x over y equals s times x over t times y, where t cannot equal 0 and y can't equal 0 either. And also there are some steps that you should follow. Number 1, factor everything that can be factored. Step 2, cancel bottom with top and top with bottom. Number 3, multiply tops or the numerators and then multiply bottoms or the denominators. I prefer to cancel first before I multiply because it's just much easier than simplifying in the end. So problem number 1 in multiplying rational expressions. Remember, the first step is to factor, so let's factor. And we factor across from top to bottom and bottom with top. That may sound a little confusing to y'all, but here, let's break it down. Okay, 18a cubed factors with 6a because there are literally 3 6a's in 18a cubed. And 5b to the 4th factors with 20b squared. 5b to the 4th becomes 1b squared, and 20b squared becomes 4. So, in total, 18a cubed over 20b squared times 5b to the fourth over 6a becomes 3a squared over 4 times 1b squared over 1. So here you're just simplifying. So after canceling and simplifying, you multiply both and get 3a squared times b squared over 4. That's your answer. Okay, let's multiply a plus b over a times b over a squared plus 3ab plus 2b squared. So step number 1 is to factor. Do you see anything that needs to be factored? Yes. A squared plus 3ab plus 2b squared needs to be factored. So let's factor that. Once you factor it, you will get a plus 2b times a plus b. And what's next? Canceling! So we cancel a plus b and a plus b. But you also cancel both a's because they're being multiplied, just like a plus b times a plus 2b. And your solution should be b over a plus 2b. Here's the last multiplication problem, I promise. X squared minus 4x over x squared minus 16 times 15xy squared plus 5y cubed over 3x squared plus xy. Looks confusing, but if you just follow the steps, then you'll get it. Our first step is to factor. And in this problem, it looks like all the numerators and denominator terms need to be factored. So let's get to it. So once factored, x squared minus 4x becomes x times x minus 4. And x squared minus 16 becomes x minus 4 times x plus 4. That one's difference is squares. And 15xy squared plus 5y cubed becomes 5y squared. And in parentheses, 3x plus y. 3x squared plus xy becomes x, and in parentheses, 3x plus y. Our next step is to cancel off terms. So when put back into normal form and how it was written before, we can see that the x minus 4's cancel, and so do the 3x plus y's. This clears everything up, and now all that's left is to multiply. You multiply 1x times 5y squared and x plus 4 times 1, and you should get 5y squared over x plus 4. Now that we've finished learning how to simplify and to multiply rational expressions, let's learn how to divide. Dividing rational expressions isn't much different than multiplying. There's one main step that is essential when dividing rational expressions, and it's just like dividing whole fractions. You gotta flip the second fraction. So, okay, let's go over the steps. Step 1. Switch from dividing a fraction to multiplying by that fraction's reciprocal, or the reciprocal. Step 2. Factor top and bottom. Step 3. Cancel the same terms. And step 4. Simplify/multiply. Just like multiply, except with an additional step 1. Here's an example. Perform the indicated operation. X squared plus 2x minus 15 over x squared minus 4x minus 45 divided by x squared plus x minus 12 over x squared minus 5x minus 36. Remember the steps. The first step is to reciprocal. That means to flip the second fraction and multiply. So you'd be multiplying x squared plus 2x minus 15 over x squared minus 4x minus 45 times x squared minus 5x minus 36 over x squared plus x minus 12. Then comes factoring. In this problem, every set can be factored. And after factoring, you cancel. And here's a fun case when everything cancels out and your solution is a nice little number 1. That's all for now, folks. I hope you found this video helpful, and remember the steps: factor, cancel, and simplify.